Being an introvert was never your problem. Not knowing how your own mind works, that was the problem. There are 7 metacognition habits that make introverts completely impossible to use, exploit, or take advantage of, and most introverts go their entire lives without discovering a single one. The moment you understand your own psychological architecture, everything shifts. You stop being the target. You stop being the person everyone tests, drains, and walks away from feeling satisfied. You become the one person in every room that manipulators quietly decide to leave alone. 7 habits. 7 internal shifts, starting with the one that makes you unreadable under pressure, and ending with the one most people discover too late. Let's get into it. Habit 1. They observe before they react. Here is a truth most people never learn. Manipulation does not work on people who pause. It only works on people who react. Think about how it happens. Someone says something that hits a nerve, your chest tightens, your mind races, and before you even realize it, you are apologizing, agreeing, or doing something you never actually wanted to do. Introverts who practice metacognition have learned something powerful. They have built a gap between the moment something happens and the moment they respond. That gap sounds small, but inside that gap lives your freedom. When pressure comes, and it always comes, they do not flinch. They observe. They get curious instead of reactive. They ask themselves silent questions. Why is this person pushing so hard right now? What outcome are they actually looking for? If I say yes, what does my life look like tomorrow? If I say no, what actually happens? And here is the contrarian part that most people refuse to accept. The introvert sitting quietly in the corner is not disengaged. They are the most dangerous person in the room because they are watching everything, processing everything, and by the time they speak or act, they have already thought 10 moves ahead. Habit 2. They audit their own beliefs regularly. Every person walking this earth carries a set of beliefs they never chose. Beliefs about what they deserve, about what love looks like, about what it means to be a good person, about what happens if they disappoint someone. Most of these beliefs were handed to them in childhood. Some were given by culture, some by religion, some by people who were themselves broken and confused. And here is the dangerous part. Exploiters are experts at finding those unexamined beliefs. They look for the ones that make you feel guilty for existing, the ones that make you feel responsible for everyone else's emotional state, the ones that make you feel selfish for saying no or setting limits. Metacognitive introverts have learned to go inside and audit these beliefs like a forensic accountant going through financial records. They ask hard questions. Do I actually believe this? Or was I conditioned to believe it? Does this belief protect me, or does it expose me? Is this value mine, or did someone plant it to keep me manageable? That is not just self-improvement. That is liberation. Habit 3. They recognize manipulation patterns before they land. Manipulators are not special. They are not geniuses. They are not even that creative. They use the same patterns over and over again on different people, in different situations. These are not new tactics. Psychologists have studied them for decades. The problem is that most people only recognize them in hindsight, 3 weeks later, 6 months later, sometimes years later when they are finally out of the situation and talking to a therapist. Metacognitive introverts recognize them in real time because they study human behavior. They observe patterns. They notice when a conversation starts to follow a familiar script, and the moment they see it, they disengage emotionally. They stay present physically, but they stop feeding the dynamic with their emotional energy. And that is the key insight here. Manipulation needs your emotional reaction to survive. It feeds on your guilt, your fear, your need to be liked. Remove that reaction, and the whole strategy collapses immediately. No emotion, no engagement, no victory for the manipulator. Habit 4. They set mental boundaries, not just emotional ones. People talk about telling others what they will not accept, about walking away from toxic relationships, about protecting their energy, and those things matter. But metacognitive introverts take it one level deeper. They set boundaries inside their own minds. They decide in advance what problems belong to them and what problems do not. They decide what narratives they will allow to take up space in their thinking. They decide which people's opinions are worth processing and which ones should be released the moment they arrive. They ask themselves constantly, is this actually my responsibility? Did I take this on because I genuinely chose it, or because someone made me feel like I had no other option? Am I carrying this because it is mine, or because someone placed it on me and walked away? This internal boundary practice is what stops the slow erosion that exploiters depend on, because most manipulation is not a single dramatic moment. It is a gradual process, a slow expansion of what you are expected to tolerate, a quiet accumulation of responsibilities that were never yours. Mental boundaries interrupt that process at the root, before it ever becomes a problem you have to recover from. Habit 5. They interrogate their own guilt. If there is one emotion that has been weaponized against introverts more than any other, it is guilt. Kind people feel guilt easily. Self-aware people feel it deeply. And people who genuinely care about others are terrified of being the cause of someone else's pain. Exploiters know this, and they use it with surgical precision. They manufacture situations where you feel guilty for things you did not do. They frame your boundaries as betrayal. They present your needs as selfishness. They make your simple act of saying no feel like an act of violence against them. And if you never stop to examine that guilt, you will spend your entire life managing emotions that were never real and solving problems that were never yours. Metacognitive introverts have developed the habit of putting their guilt on trial. Every single time it shows up, they ask, "What exactly did I do wrong here? Is this guilt coming from my own values or from someone else's reaction? Would a fair, reasonable person looking at this situation say, I actually caused harm?" If the answer is no, they release it. Not easily, not instantly, but deliberately and completely. Real guilt deserves your attention. Manufactured guilt deserves nothing from you. Habit 6. They detach their self-worth from external approval. Approval is the most common leash used to control people. If you need someone to like you, they own a piece of you. If you need validation to feel confident, whoever controls that validation controls your behavior. If your self-worth lives outside of you, it is always at risk. Metacognitive introverts work relentlessly on this one habit because they understand the psychology behind it. They watch themselves in real time. They catch the moment they start performing for someone's approval. They notice when they are softening their truth to keep someone comfortable. They feel when they are about to shrink themselves to fit into a space that was never built for them. And then they ask, why? What am I actually afraid of losing here? Is this person's opinion of me genuinely important? Or have I given them influence over me that they never earned? This practice does not make you cold. It does not make you arrogant. It makes you grounded. It builds a version of self-worth that nobody can shake because it does not depend on anyone else to exist. And when your worth is unshakable, you become impossible to leverage. Habit 7. They study how their mind behaves under pressure. Everything above is preparation. This habit is the mastery level. Because knowing yourself when life is calm is one thing. Knowing yourself when someone is pressuring you, guilt-tripping you, rushing you, or threatening to withdraw their approval, that is an entirely different skill. Under pressure, the untrained mind collapses. It defaults to people-pleasing, to fear, to the path of least resistance, even when that path leads somewhere damaging. Metacognitive introverts have studied their own collapse patterns. They know exactly how their thinking changes when they feel rushed. They know which emotions make them most vulnerable to agreeing to things they will regret. They know which types of people and which types of situations push them toward their weakest decisions. And with that knowledge, they build personal rules for those exact moments. Simple, clear, non-negotiable rules. I never agree to anything when I feel emotionally flooded. I always sleep on major decisions. I never respond to guilt immediately. I take space before I commit. These rules are not rigid. They are protective. They are the product of deep self-study applied as practical daily armor. This is what it looks like when an introvert fully owns their mind. Not reactive, not controlled, not exploitable. Completely untouchable. Most people will spend their entire lives never thinking about how they think. You just did exactly that. And that already separates you from the crowd. These 7 habits are not gifts. They are not reserved for certain personality types. They are skills, built through practice, sharpened through self-awareness, available to every introvert willing to go inward and do the real work. Your mind was always the most powerful thing about you. Now you know how to use it. If this spoke to something deep inside you, subscribe. This community is built for thinkers who refuse to stay small. Drop a comment. Which habit are you starting with today?